Blimey, this is Bexhill, I think, and that's the De La Warr Pavilion. They should involve Inspector Poirot in that. I think he'd have a good time sitting on that balcony there, having a can of cider.
I think that's the exciting thing about The Damned as a punk rock group that maybe some of the others haven't got, is that we have such diverse influences that we each individually bring in. Dave's really interested in kind of soundtrack music and kind of stuff from the 50s, that twangy kind of stuff from the States, and Messiaen and all sorts of really weird and wonderful kind of orchestral stuff. And then there's my kind of interest in prog rock that I bore people to death with. The Monty's kind of he won an award, a jazz rock piano player or something during the 70s. So we all got this. And Pinch, then again there's Pinch, who he's the only one who knows anything about this newfangled modern style of punk rock, which I haven't made my mind up whether it's any good or not yet. So yeah, I think that's why we do make interesting records, is because we bring all this stuff in, mix it all up in a pot and see what comes out in the other room, really.
I like trains, I like train spotting, and I tried to work out what that was all about, and I think it's something to do with the perspective. You see the railway lines disappearing into the background and the trees, and it all ends up on one beautiful point. And it's the same with this building, because the whole thing has got these sleek, beautiful perspective lines which end up over there, and then there's that wacky round thing going on in the middle, you know, which I suppose at the time they all thought was disgraceful and shouldn't be allowed, you know. Prince Charles would have absolutely loathed and detested this building. He probably does. He's got it on his dartboard. He throws darts at it every day. It's just beautiful, and I just like big slabs of concrete. There's something nice about concrete. I live in a block of flats, and I think it's fantastic, you know.
When we did Machine Gun Etiquette and the Black Album, I said to Brian a few years later, "Did you hear those records?" Because I was kind of proud of them, and he said no, he never bothered. So no, I didn't. The first time I heard Phantasmagoria was a fan was giving me a lift in Australia from one gig to the next one, and they played it in the car, and I actually thought it was reasonably good, you know. And I thought it was going to be really sort of crap without me. Of course, as you would, you know. Did I miss them? Yeah, I did, really, because it's a good noise that they make, and it is a really exciting thing to do. It's like, I suppose it is my job to kind of twang a guitar at excruciating volume, but it's a lot of fun, and if you don't do it, you really miss it. Yeah. Don't tell them, but I would do it. I would do it for nothing, actually, but don't tell them that.
Captain Sensible, sponsored by Old Country Cider. Absolutely rancid. But I must say, people understand Captain Sensible. I've had a dubious and checkered career. I understand that people. I do get the occasional bit of flack thrown my way. But happy talk. Okay, we understand that. It was a bucket of shit, but I needed the cash. And you know, if you're a working class bloke, you're a former toilet cleaner, and somebody says, "Would you accept this large suitcase full of cash? All you have to do is sing this stupid old tune from South Pacific." I mean, you would do the same thing, wouldn't you? Yeah? It went something like, for those of you who don't know, it went something like this. Happy talk, keep talking, happy talk. Talk about things you'd like to do. You've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true? And A&M.
I was at school in the 60s, and I could take it or leave it. You know, Top of the Pops was on, and some of it was good. And then I heard Syd Barrett, See Emily Play. I remember I was walking to school. I had a transistor radio stuck to my ear, and I was late as usual. And I just heard See Emily Play, and I just had to sit on a garden wall, you know, and listen to this record that just, it was astonishing. psychedelic kind of masterpiece. And at that point, it just changed my life totally. And then Hendrix came along as well. So I do like my music tinged with a psychedelic kind of bent, if you like. And I always try and add that to whatever we do, a little psychedelic tinge. I think it's just another word for interesting.
And glass is nice as well. Glass bricks, all that old nonsense. Terrific. There's a bar up there as well, and that's nice too. Life's great, isn't it? You know, when you've got plenty of concrete and a pint of beer and a damned record. You could have a lot worse, couldn't you? I mean, what's Cliff Richard got? Fuck all.
Personalities in the Damned, yeah, very diverse once again. But then again, you all bring interesting things into the kind of the mix. I joined. I mean, it was basically Brian's baby, and Rat Scabies went up to answer an audition. And he came back with all his hair chopped off. I mean, I worked with him at the Fairfield Halls. I mean, people know this story. You know, I was a toilet cleaner, he was a floor cleaner, blah blah blah, and he came back with all his hair chopped off, and he said, and by the way, they're looking for a bass player. And I was in a band called Johnny Moped at the time. I was the guitarist, but once I'd met Brian, I knew that he had this vision, and so I went with it, and I had my hair chopped off, and blah blah blah, and Dave did as well. So yeah, it was totally Brian's thing.
See, the thing about rock and roll is it is not good for your health, and so generally I try to kind of keep myself together somehow. In this lunatic career that I've had in rock and roll, it's just like vomiting on life, blah blah blah. This cider is absolutely terrible.
The records, I think, stand the test of time. Machine Gun Etiquette and Damned. In particular, I mean, I know it's Damned. It's just like an astonishing record. That at the start of British punk, there was that. There was the Clash album, and there was the Pistols thing, which was unfortunately the Pistols thing was overproduced, and it just sounds so clean and clinical. And Damned was just the perfect production because it's so gnarled and so scuzzy, and there's mistakes on there, and like it's just a fucking great punk album. It's punk rock encapsulated. If you want to know what punk rock is, put that record on. I'm immensely proud of that, and some of the later albums as well, the Black Album and stuff's got, you know, very. Very interesting. I hate blowing my own trumpet and that, but they're good records. This version of The Damned is the happiest, and who can say whether it won't be considered to be one of the best? I mean, that's not for me to say, but I know I've got tapes here, you know, of us live, which rank with any live music that we've ever done. You know, it's exciting and it's kind of experimental in places. We're possibly more important now than we ever were with like all this boy band crap about and all this stuff. And people, I mean, it's been proven that we were right, you know, to have done, because I remember at the time in 76 and 77, people used to walk out of our shows, you know, thinking we were like sort of, you know, we couldn't play our instruments, we were, you know, it was stupid, mindless crap and stuff like that. And now you can't open a magazine without some new band or other like saying how important we were to them and all this sort of thing. So. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to these newfangled punk rock bands from the States, then we're pretty relevant. So, God bless them. I think something we do that maybe other bands could actually look at and maybe learn from is we really let the audience kind of have about 50% of the kind of say in which direction the show goes in, and there's bits between the songs where they chant, and I mean they insult their old mates. The band.
You gotta ask yourself a question in the morning.
How important is the Damned to me? You know, what else do I do with my life? It's of huge importance, and I honestly think, you know, it means something to the world in some small way. In some small way, it's the antidote to kind of, amongst other bands, you know, to the manufactured crap that we're being force-fed at the moment. And I think, you know, if people want to see what a really good live band's all about, you know, where it's not all kind of, you know, choreographed and you don't know what's going to happen next, then pop along and see the Damned, and we'd be standing at the bar and you can buy us a drink, and, you know, if you feel that way inclined, bring your wallet, because we like a drink.
Although I had this really wacky solo career in the 80s, I much prefer being a part of a band, because I mean, you can stand there twanging away on the old guitar and trying to steal the glory from the front person, you know, which happens to be Dave Vanian. And he just stands there, I try and claim my share of the limelight, and that's what makes the Damned the wacky entity that they are. There you go.